Perfect. So we are streaming live. This is the, what is the date today? Let's have a look. It is the 24th of October, 2024. And we are here with the Open Design Guide. This is the 7th reading session in the series. And I'm very excited to be here. We also have Paper Psych. Let me just put my screen like this so we can see you. Would you like to give a quick hi?
Hello everyone. Where are we live streaming, by the way? I
On
did not know.
YouTube.
On YouTube. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Hello. Sorry, I went to the other Bitcoin design.
Original one.
No,
Jitsi.
that was actually my fault because I actually use the UX Research Jitsi link, and we usually use the Bitcoin Design link. So you were on the right link.
It's okay.
But we are live streaming. I hope I'm doing it right because this is the first time that I'm live streaming. I'll share the link with you guys just so you can check if it is live streaming correctly. Let me share the link here. Oh, that's the studio link. Let's see. Oh, you can share the link like this. Okay, cool. Here's the link for the live stream. Here we go. So we are streaming live. Let's go. Cool.
It works. It works.
It works. Yay, we're live. We're doing this thing. We're working in public. So this is the Open Design Guide reading session. It is reading session number 7. I just want to give a huge kudos to Errol because this is the Open Design Guide reading session who suggested we stream this live. And so we're going to do things in pure open source fashion, and we're going to work in public. So let's go. So during this reading session, thank you so much for being here, V, as well. We're going to read the page Tools and Resources Together. I will share the link to that page. And then what we'll do is we'll just take turns reading, and we will provide feedback on the content itself after reading. So you'll basically just pick a paragraph, you'll read it, and then you'll say, based on reading the paragraph, I think that this might be a good suggestion to, improve this copy. And then we'll take notes in this Google document, which I've shared. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, I don't know who would anyone like to start reading? And I'm happy to start taking notes. Hitomi.
Can you hear me?
Yay!
よかった. Okay. Introduction to open source design tools. As a designer contributing open source projects, you'll find that your choice of tools can significantly impact your workflow and your ability to collaborate effectively with the community. While many designers are accustomed to proprietary software like Adobe Creative Suite or Sketch, the open source world often favors tools that align with its philosophy of openness and accessibility. Embracing open source design tools not only demonstrates your commitment to the open source efforts, but also ensures that your work is accessible to a wider range of contributors. Many of these tools are powerful alternatives to their proprietary counterparties and are continually improving thanks to active community development. Finish?
Good job. What would you like to say about the content you just read? Would you like to?
Could you please again? Could you please repeat that again?
Do you have any feedback or contributions you think about the content that it can be improved?
Yeah, I'm a very beginner of design and also very beginner to become a designer. So I'm not sure what is the differences, big differences between proprietary design tools like Adobe with and open source design tools like below in Inkscape or something like that.
Okay. Is there anything else that is not maybe making sense in that part? Someone raised their hand.
Oh, it's me. I think this is it's a good introduction. I love that Hitomi has pointed out that there is unless you know this difference or potential differences between proprietary and open source, it's difficult because those differences can become how do I say, like, they can become a long list of very maybe opinions. But I think one of the things that is missing in the introduction is that it's okay to use Adobe for a contribution. It's okay to use Sketch. It's okay to use Figma. It's not banned. But I think this encourages this introduction encourages the use of open source tools, but it doesn't clearly sort of state towards the end. All it needs is a sentence, which is it's still okay to use Adobe, Figma, Sketch for contributions. Like nobody's gonna ban you from contributing to open source if you send a Figma file, or if they do, then it's not friendly.
Gotcha. Perfect. So I guess that's paragraph 1 out of the way, unless anyone else has something to add. Good. Cool. Who would like to read the vector graphics landscape?
I'm happy to read vector graphics, unless anybody else wants to. But okay, vector graphics Inkscape. Inkscape is a powerful vector graphics editor that serves as an excellent alternative to Adobe Illustrator. It supports a wide range of vector formats, including SVG, which is particularly useful for web graphics and icon design. Inkscape offers a comprehensive set of tools for creating and manipulating vector shapes, working with text, and applying various effects. One of Inkscape's strengths is its extensibility. The software supports Python scripts and extensions, allowing you to automate repetitive tasks or add new functionalities. This can be particularly useful when working on large-scale design projects for open source software. When using Inkscape for open source projects, consider creating your designs at multiple scales to ensure they look good on different devices at various sizes. Inkscape's SVG output is clean and standards compliant, making it ideal for use in web applications or as a basis for further manipulation in code.
Cool. Errol, go for it.
I learned something about Inkscape in this paragraph, so I had no idea that you could add Python scripts to automate tasks. I imagine that's like in like Adobe products, you have actions that you can program in the like Photoshop and stuff. I think the sentence, one of Inkscape's strengths is its extensibility, is a strange sentence.
Right.
I also don't think you need the last sentence. Inkscape's SVG output is clean and standards compliant. I think that's a sentence that's maybe a little extra.
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting that it says it's for further manipulation in code, but you'd need to explain that. Like, what does that mean to a designer? I suppose what it means is that like an SVG generates a series of like coordinate points in code. So developers can actually go into the code and manipulate a vector graphic, like an SVG graphic, using the coordinates of the code. But like, that feels like information that is extra.
Right. Which sentence would that be exactly in this copy? Would it be the software supports Python scripts, or
the last one, the very last sentence? I don't think we need.
Just remove it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't think we need it.
I heard you reading the sentence, one of Inkscape's strengths is its extensibility, and I just knew it. I was like, okay. Okay, cool. Is that it? Would you like to say you have any other bits you'd like to add for this one?
Well, I think that one of Inkscape's strengths is its extensibility can be removed, and you could change it to Inkscape supports Python scripts. But like, that would be a better sentence.
We'll just add this here.
I have a question for the rest of the group. Do most designers know what an SVG like is compared to, like, say, an Adobe Illustrator.ai file? Is there like an understanding of the difference between a .svg and a .ai? Yeah, I see Hitomi nodding. Do other people know the difference?
I use it as an alternative to CDR when people ask me CDR here, but not AI, essentially.
So okay, I think the reason that I'm asking is I'm not sure whether all designers know, like when they're beginners, like, know the difference between like an SVG and like a EPS, or like a, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Hitomi is agreeing. What would you like to say something, Hitomi?
Yes, my friend is familiar with design, so he let me know about SVG and vector and raster, PNP and JP, the kinds of formats. But if I was alone to study about design, I definitely could not find what is the differences between SVG. I'm totally surprised at what is SVG in this document.
Okay, Errol's commented here. I think we need to send this like SVG is an open source file format. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste your comment into the comments here. Okay, perfect. Good one, nice one. And then we have the next section, which is raster graphics GIMP. Who would like to take a stab at reading that one?
I can do it.
Go for it.
Yeah, thank you. Raster graphics GIMP, which is GNU Image Manipulation Program, is a robust alternative to Adobe Photoshop. While its interface may take some getting used to, GIMP offers a comprehensive one sec. GIMP offers a comprehensive set of tools for image editing, photo retouching, and creating raster graphics. GIMP's layer based editing system allows for complex compositions, and its support for a wide range of plugins extends its capabilities even further. When working on open source projects, GIMP's ability to handle a variety of file formats becomes particularly useful, as you may need to work with legacy graphics or output your work in specific formats for different use cases. One particularly useful feature of GIMP for open source design is its scripting capabilities. You can use Scheme or Python to automate tasks, which can be huge time saver when working on large projects or when you need to apply consistent edits across multiple images.
Nice. Thank you. Any comments you have on that one, paper side?
I've not used like neither Photoshop neither this, so I'm not sure if what is right and what is not.
Mm-hmm.
But um, I don't think anything excited me here because I also lack a lot of the vocab. Like first of all, image manipulation program. Okay, I understand that, but what is when it says scripting ability, is it similar to what it said in the previous one where you can add Python scripts, and it says that you can use it to apply consistent edits across multiple images? So is it like making a template, or I'm not sure. And one more thing is this where was it? Handle file format. I mean, yeah, rest of it is fine. I don't know what is raster graphics though. Like, what is raster word? So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I think some of the words in this chapter are probably gonna be like words that if you've had like I hate to say this, but like a design education,
Mm-hmm.
like if you went to school for design, they teach you like things like what raster graphics means and all that kind of stuff, but not every designer learns that way, right? So I think you could, it's, I suppose when it says like an alternative to Photoshop, and I think that raster graphics essentially mean flat. I think they mean flat, right? So when you rasterize something, it means that you can't like isolate individual parts of like an image. Like when you rasterize something, it becomes flat. But like I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to explain that more. Like I don't even think you particularly need like the word raster graphics GIMP. I think you can just do graphics. Graphics and photography is what GIMP people use GIMP for, like in the community. I think we can remove the word raster.
Yep. Okay. Cool. I'm just taking a bunch of notes here. Good stuff. Nice. So that is the raster graphics or the graphics paragraph finished. And next we have the 3D modeling Blender one. Who would like to dive into that one? Toby.
Hello.
Yay.
Yeah, I think I'd love to take this one.
Go for it.
All right, thank you. Yeah, okay. 3D modeling blend, 3D modeling Blender. While not all open source projects require 3D graphics, for those that do, Blender is an incredibly powerful tool. Originally focused on 3D modeling and animation, recent versions of Blender have expanded to include video editing, 2D animation, and even VFX capabilities. Blender's node-based material system is particularly useful for creating complex textures and materials that can be easily tweaked and adjusted. If you're working on an open source game or a project that involves 3D visualizations, Blender's ability to export to various formats makes it easy to integrate your work into different engines or platforms. Even if your project doesn't directly involve 3D graphics, Blender can be useful for creating isometric illustrations or rendering 3D mockups of physical products. Its powerful rendering engines, both built in and via plugins, can produce highly realistic images that can enhance the visual appeal of your project's documentation or marketing materials.
Thank you. What are your feelings and impressions after reading that?
Okay. Um, First of all, I think the fact that there's a link that actually takes them to the Blender site to kind of see it for themselves, right? To kind of see what exactly we're talking about. For because I don't want to assume everybody knows what Blender is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's a really good initiative. And also it's really it really explains what exactly you could use Blender for, right? So I think it really makes it easy to for a first timer to want to try out Blender, right? And I mean, like what it says here, not every open source project requires 3D graphics, but you could actually enhance your UI. For example, if you're working on like a landing page or something, you could actually get some really nice elements from Blender. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's pretty good. From I think that's what I could just yeah, that's it for me.
Super
I
nice.
don't,
Anyone else want someone? Someone was talking. Paper psych? No?
No, but I did have one feedback. Do you think we could add maybe one line to each of these tools, linking to some resource, like beginner-friendly resource that they can go to? For example, Inkscape. Can you scroll up a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
One sec. I'll do it. Uh, yeah, the Inkscape website leads them to inkscape.org, or I'm sorry, I'll have to check.
Is this, can you see my screen? Did it
It
switch?
does, it does. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So Inkscape.org is already mentioned. The Blender website is already there, but maybe, yeah, like as Ariel mentioned, like a link to documentation for each tool or something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the official website, but something to make it easier to get them started with the tool, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so. The overall language of all of the tools can be simplified a bit more to make it more beginner friendly. I was rereading like a part of what it said, like that GIMP's interface might take some time to get used to. We can change the language to a little bit, like it may feel a bit different at first,
Yeah.
but once you're a bit more comfortable, then you will find all the tools you need for etc etc whatever you can do with the graphics thing.
Yeah.
The language needs to be simplified overall.
I want to add my opinion to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like vector graphics, raster graphics, all of them are graphics. So written languages is harder to understand for beginners. What is SVG? What is vector? What is raster? So I'd appreciate if it document add some graphics or pictures or another other than sentences resources. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like it look it could be direct impact with graphics and pictures, something like that, not only languages.
Gotcha. Thank you. And now we have, so we did 3D modeling, and now we have design systems and pattern libraries. So this is the next section. Would anyone like to dive into that one? Any volunteers? Fee, let's go.
Yeah. So, uh, design systems and patterns libraries. Design systems and pattern libraries are crucial for maintaining consistency across large open source projects. While not a tool in a traditional sense, these resources are invaluable for open source designers. Very true. Several open source projects have created comprehensive design systems that you can learn from or even adapt from your own use. Material design, created by Google, the material design system is open source and widely used in many projects. Elementary OS human interface guidelines, a detailed design system from the Elementary OS Linux distribution. Uh, GNOME human resource guidelines, the design system for the GNOME desktop environment. When creating a design system for your open source project, consider using tools like Storyboard, which allows you to create a living style guide that developers can easily reference and integrate into their workflow.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
How did you find that one?
Uh, it's okay, like we can maybe add more uh, tools. Uh, I don't know, but yeah, maybe more resources. Like this is simple and you can read through it. Uh, just s- some examples. Yeah,
Okay.
nothing much. Yes.
Anyone else for that section?
Uh, Again,
Storybook
a
needs a link.
simple thing. Yeah, storybook needs a link, and then as a beginner, would they know the difference between design systems and pattern libraries? I don't know what pattern libraries are.
Mm-hmm. Someone
I
would like to.
actually, oh, sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Go
Good,
ahead.
good.
I actually think these could be two different sections: design systems, its own section, and then pattern libraries, a separate
Mhm.
section. I think that's probably, I think having them together, they are similar again, but I think they're different enough that it makes sense to have two different sections so that they are distinct. Because my understanding of a design system is that it is not only about the visual components and elements, whereas I would describe a pattern library as like visual web components, buttons, different like elements of like a web interface, and I would describe a design system as like, as well as interface elements you have in a design system, other visual things.
Right. So that's base. Yeah, that's just interesting. It's kind of flowing off what Paper Psych said and what you said. What is the difference between the two? But I guess if it's separated, then there's no need to figure out differences. You're not forcing the reader to think. So I've added that in as a note for the comments as well.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add, it's just for the whole page. All the links, when you click on it, it opens in the same window. So
Hmm.
maybe we can like use uh, when we click and it opens in a new tab
Okay.
rather than in the same tab. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated for me. I like, it's my personal bias that if it opens in the new tab, it's more easy to just get back and see the things, other things on the same page.
Okay. Cool. I put that under general comments. Um, cool. So we did design systems and patent libraries. What's the next one? Accessibility tools. We're almost there. We're speeding through this. It's half an hour and we only have 4 more sections to go. Cool. Who would like to do accessibility tools? Paper Psych.
Yes. Check. Accessibility tools. Ensuring accessibility is a crucial aspect of open source design, as these projects often aim to be usable by as wide huh? often aim to be usable by as wide an audience as possible. Several open source tools can help you evaluate and improve the accessibility of your designs. uh, Wave, a web accessibility evaluation tool that provides visual feedback about the accessibility of your web content. Contrast Checker, a simple tool to check the contrast ratio of your color choices to ensure readability. Axe, an accessibility testing engine that can be integrated into automated workflows. Additionally, it's important to familiarize yourself with and regularly use the built-in accessibility features provided by major operating systems like Windows, macOS, iOS, and Android. These include screen readers, magnifiers, and other assistive technologies. By using these tools during your design process, you can better understand how users with different abilities will interact with your software. Remember that while these tools are helpful, they should complement, not replace, manual testing and feedback from users with disabilities. Regular testing throughout the design and development process is crucial to ensure consistent accessibility.
Good job. Nice. An important one, accessibility. What would you like to comment on this one?
Um, I think in the introduction, there should be a line that accessibility is something you should have in your mind since like the beginning of the project.
Mhm.
This kind of makes me feel that once the design is done, then I should check for accessibility and not aim for it. So that can be written like well. And then there is this. Uh, where was the part? Yeah, and I think so. There are more tools, right? We could add. I know about these three, but there might be more tools that we can add, especially for accessibility, because people usually don't. Uh, I don't know if designers go through that length of making sure that accessibility is made sure. And one more thing is accessibility leads to um chapter 8, which is improving UX, user experience.
Mhm.
So maybe there could be another resource added to it, like a collection of accessibility, something, or I don't know, or maybe a definition of what accessibility is. This right now leads to the guide itself, and we are describing a lot of the things in much what do you call crisp and concise format, and it's not as detailed as someone who's interested in accessibility might want it to be.
Gotcha.
I put a sentence in the chat that I think could help here, which is based on my experience trying to make open source projects be more accessible.
Yeah.
Often if your open source project is a developer tool or like a terminal based, like not all open source software has an interface, like a GUI, a graphical interface. And
Mhm.
often like developer tools or terminal based open source, they're like, we don't need accessibility. But you then have to argue that yes, you do need accessibility. So I would love a sentence which is like, if a designer like reads this now, later on they might be like, yes, just because you're making a series of terminal commands as an open source still needs accessibility.
Yep. Such a good one.
And yeah, that reminds me, like we could also add one more point on like the link between accessibility and open source philosophy itself, tying accessibility more directly to the open source philosophy of inclusivity and collaboration. So that could be, maybe one line can be added on that also.
Nice. Yes, it's for everyone, including the millions of people around the world who have sight disabilities, um, of all, different types. Millions and millions of people. And we will all get old one day too, So yeah. The next one is version control for designers. Would anyone like to grab this one? Let's see, who's that? Hitomi.
Okay, so version control for designers. Well, version control systems like Git are typically associated with code. They can also be incredibly useful for managing design assets. Using version control for your design files allows you to track changes over time, collaborate more effectively with others, and maintain a clear history of your design tools. Consider using Git large file storage (LFS) for managing larger binary files like high resolution images or complex vector graphics. This can help keep your repository size manageable while still allowing you to version these files effectively. Several GUI tools can make Git more approachable for designers who aren't comfortable with the command line. First, Git Kraken, a cross-platform Git client with a user-friendly interface. Second, SourceTree, another popular Git client with a visual interface for managing repositories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, what's your feeling, Hitomi?
As a beginner of design, what is version control? This is my first question, to be honest. Fortunately, I was working with the programmers at former company, so I know version control for in GitHub or for engineers, but version control for designers I can't understand well in this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Errol.
I think we need to link back to, it's chapter 4, collaborative workflows. We have version control basics. So that definitely, I think, needs a link back from this section. But I know some designers have done this process where if they are uploading large graphic files to repositories, they will use like these processes. Like, so people that work in like Debian or work in like Ubuntu and some other big open source projects. But honestly, this isn't the kind of version control that I have ever used in open source as a designer. I understand what version control is, and I understand what version control means to the kinds of design files that I create. I think that I would never recommend Git Kraken or SourceTree to a designer for version control. Never. I would, at most, I would recommend like GitHub Desktop the GitHub desktop app, which does like branching and versioning for a GitHub repository.
Mhm.
But I think there is. I think GitLab has some design version control functionality inside of GitLab design version control. And I think the other thing that is like a design focused version control tool is, I think, Sketch. Zeppelin? I would describe Zeppelin for Sketch as like a design version control, but it's kind of old fashioned now, right?
I've never used Sketch before, actually, so I wouldn't have any idea.
They're lovely. The folks that run Sketch are like some of the nicest people running, like the team there are so cool. But when I used Sketch briefly for work, Zeppelin was something that was like close to how to do design version control in your Sketch files. But it's only for Sketch, I think. I'm not 100% sure.
Cool.
But also, I think we could delete this whole section.
Okay. Let's go. Let's be open and honest. Why not? Okay.
That was one of my suggestions also. Like as we're reading through all of the sections, we should also ask ourselves, in the journey that a new person might be taking, is this the right point, or is this the correct point to show, have them read this or have them gain this info?
Yep.
That matters a lot. Like are we confusing them a lot, or are we actually leading them through a structured path of learning?
I think if we
Even
have
though-
if we have time, like towards the end of the call, I think it would be great to just have a quick scan of the page and just say, delete this one, delete that one, irrelevant. Because I feel like there was another one or two more sections that also had the please delete this section. So if we have time, it would be great to do that. It's probably in the notes, but just as a general comment. We have the collaboration platforms. Who would like to dive into that one? Errol.
Collaboration platforms. Effective collaboration is key in open source projects. While many projects use GitHub for both code and design collaboration, there are other platforms that can enhance the design workflow. Penpot, an open source design and prototyping platform that's gaining popularity in the open source community. Figma. While not open source itself, Figma offers a free tier and is widely used in open source projects due to its robust collaboration features. These platforms allow real-time collaboration, making it easier to work with contributors across different time zones and locations.
Cool. There was a smirk from you there, so do share.
Oh, I was smirking. Just I find Figma was founded by an open source, like somebody that was very pro open source, and it's really interesting to see how Figma has changed over the years. But that's why I smirk. But I think most people, I guess, know what Figma does. But in the sentence about Figma, it doesn't say that Figma is a design and prototyping platform. It just says it's not open source, it's got a free tier, and it's got collaboration features. But maybe we need to be reminded that it's a design and prototyping tool as well.
Yep.
Sorry.
Good.
The last thing that I would say is I would mention the I think with the other tools like Inkscape and GIMP, it's implicit that you download them and you run them from your machine. Whereas I think the important thing to say about Figma and Penpot is both of them have like you can use them in your browser as well as downloading a desktop application.
Yeah, 100%. Paper Psych, you're going to say something.
Yeah, so the tools that we've mentioned up, like the three tools for graphics and stuff, uh, are they all open source, or are they supposed to be all open source, or are we just giving a link? Because I think Figma should be up and with a proper section of its own for designers, because essentially, at least in our community, I guess all of us use Figma for all the collaboration that happens, right? So this feels like a very no, as Ariel said, like non-descriptive description of Figma and it's what it's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe have it uh, with the other tools and like yeah, add more lines to them. Like I did not get like when should I be using Penpot exactly and when should I be using Figma? Like are they alternatives to each other? Are they um, have similar use cases? What I've not used Penpot, so I don't know. But yeah, Figma can definitely use a lot of more description and then maybe add more real like real world applications to the apps and suggestions that we're giving that um, you can I mean just give an example like let's say a developer is there and you've uploaded a file to some GitHub a comment and then they can collaborate come and comment on Figma or use the dev mode to do something similar to like that but yeah, I don't know if it completely fits here, but yeah.
Okay.
And there can be more tools like Figma and FigJam can be two separate. FigJam is uh, more fun and collaborative in that sense. And then there is, do Miro and Jira count or is it Jiro? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, when Miro had like their conference for like these are all our new features, Miro are developing like similar like designing and prototyping, like clickable prototyping functionality inside Miro.
How interesting. I only used Miro at the beginning of my UX designer journey, and I haven't used it since. I'm now just using FigJam for all the things I used to do in Miro. But I've not been back to it in a while. Interesting. Cool. We have the last section, which is the conclusion. Who would like to dive into that one? Toby.
Sorry, I was muted. Okay. Conclusion. The landscape of open source design tools is rich and diverse, offering powerful alternatives to proprietary software. By familiarizing yourself with these tools, and resources, you better be equipped to contribute effectively to open source projects. Remember that the choice of tools should always be guided by the needs of your project and the preferences of your community. Be open to learning new tools and workflows, as this adaptability is key to success in the dynamic world of open source design. Lastly, don't forget that the most important tool at your disposal is the open source community itself. Engage with other designers, developers, and users in your project's community. Their insights, feedback, and contributions will be invaluable in creating designs that truly serve the needs of your project's users.
Thank you. Any comments on that one?
Not really. I don't think I have any comment on that.
Anyone else? Hitomi's nodding her head. She's agreeing. Errol is raising her eyebrows.
Yeah, I love this conclusion. I think it's really good because it reminds you of like the key things.
Yeah.
Design isn't automatically good or like relevant to the tool. If you your design tooling doesn't make design good. Like essentially, like the choice of tool should make sense for the team that you're working with.
Yeah.
And yeah, the importance of like open source community within like is one of the biggest like tools of a designer. Essentially, it's like it reinforces that open source is not built good open source is not built by one person. It's built by many people collaborating.
5,000%. 5,000% makes it much more robust, and it's super fun building together. There's no more fun way. So we have 5 minutes left. There were a couple paragraphs that there was a little bit of consensus of delete this. So how about for the next 2 minutes, like read the whole section, like the whole page on your own, and then just come back with, I think this section should be deleted, and I think this section should be deleted. And then I'll make those as notes here. So let's just give about a minute or 2 minutes for that. Someone's raising their hand. Oh, Errol, there we go.
Sorry, it's me. As a design researcher, do you see your design tools represented in this tooling list?
You know, so that's a very good question. In open source UX research, I've not used the stereotypical repositories. I've been using, because those are paid tools, and I haven't found a good open source UX research hub where I can save all of the data. Someone has to still build that. So at the moment, everything gets saved either on GitHub in like a project that's public, or in Google Docs or in a Google project. So those are the tools of an open source UX researcher, just speaking from pure honesty, because we don't have, we're not using the paid tools like Dovetail and all the rest. So yeah, just being honest, but good question.
So the only open source alternatives sort of for UX research that we have used rarely are things like LibreOffice, so document creation stuff like LibreOffice, Nextcloud. You create so like you can create, it's kind of like an alternative to the Google Suite, but it's not as good. Like I love the Nextcloud people, but it's not as good as using a Google Doc for your research. But yeah, there are some alternatives, but I wouldn't be mad if there was a section here like design research tools, which said there's not a lot of great design resource open source tools. Many of us use Google Docs, we use like Notion, we use different tools for research, but also there is Nextcloud. There is like for surveys, we use Lime Survey, which is a like open source survey tool, but it's much harder to use than like a Google survey, right?
Yeah.
So there are alternatives, but like anyway, I'd be interested in writing a section which is like research tools or helping a section.
Cool. Good one. Such a good one. Yep. Someone design or build an open source searchable, where you basically, I forget the word used in research just because I haven't used it, but basically like a hub, a searchable hub where you're putting in all your usability tests, all of your things. There's only paid ones right now. Only paid ones. Yep. Okay. Which sections would we like to delete? Version control. Okay. Anyone else? +1 for version control. Okay. Yes. Anything else?
I don't think there's sections or entire paragraphs that I would delete, but there are certainly sentences that I'm happy to like put in a PR to like remove certain sentences that feel not clear or understandable.
Cool. And that's it, I guess. We can wrap up the call. We actually did our first live stream, totally in public. Errol, thank you so much for getting us to do this. This was fun. This is so much fun. And we like flew through the content. We were just flying, like we have tons of notes. And I hope that this will be helpful for iterating on the content. And thank you for everyone also just for being here, for your time. Errol, you want to say something? Go for it.
I was going to do an emoji reaction, but I accidentally clicked the hand up. I was going to do that. But
we rock. We rock. Okay. If you're watching this, build in public, work in the open. It's so much fun. And if you'd like, jump into the PR, the Open Design Guide. It is opendesign.guide. And there you can find the link to the GitHub. And that's pretty much it. Contribute. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. So Errol, do I just click end call and then it's going to end the live stream? Or
it should. Hopefully, it should. See what happens, and I'll let you know on DMs if the YouTube stops.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.